Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode in our TNA series in TEW 2020. Of course, I'm CR Daredevil, and if I have timed this right, this is going out on a day that happens to be the date of birth of some Daredevil guy. So there's that. Anyway, we are uh, we are officially on the final week before lockdown. Technically, the final week of lockdown, I guess, but it is the go home show for lockdown 2015. Tonight, we find out the rest of the team for representing TNA against the BDC in the Lethal Lockdown match. We also find out a couple more matches being added to the card, and we also get some advancements on some stuff. So we'll have to see how that all ends up playing out. But we start off in front of 7,145 people at the Nashville Municipal Auditorium with a 94 rated segment. 94. Apparently, not that it should be a surprise at all, but apparently I need to give the microphone to Samoa Joe and AJ Styles more often. But AJ Styles comes out and says that last week Impact ended with the announcement of Team TNA taking on the BDC in the Lethal Lockdown match, and he was told by Daredevil that he was going to be allowed to pick his partners for that matchup. So, of course, his very first call was to the man who clearly has an issue with the BDC, none other than Samoa Joe. And out comes Samoa Joe. And Samoa Joe says that he doesn't really care about representing TNA. He doesn't really care about being friends with AJ or being teammates with AJ or anything like that. He only cares about causing pain and causing suffering for the BDC. And so if this is his opportunity to do so, then he will take advantage of it. Then Styles says that he knows that there's two other guys who him and Joe had to face recently that have had some issues with the BDC as of late. And he brings out the American Wolves. The Wolves come out, so they're part of Team TNA as well. And they don't really say anything on the mic. But Styles says that the fifth member of the team is just going to be a surprise. They're going to leave it to be a little bit of a mystery, a little bit of a they're just kidding. AJ says that AJ says no, we'll reveal who it is, but we're going to let them reveal who it is. We're going to let them reveal for themselves, but trust them when they say that it is somebody who they know, especially a couple people in this ring know pretty goddamn well. So there you go. We got 4 of the 5 announced for Team TNA. It is AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and the American Wolves. And the 5th member will be revealed later on tonight. And it's somebody who apparently they all know pretty closely. So yeah, 94 rated segment for this. Holy cow. But there you go. We have 4 of the 5 mentioned. The 5th person, it's kind of awkward how I'm revealing the 5th person. Because but it's meant to be awkward. It's meant to be an awkward reveal. So after that, we have a 59 rated matchup to start off the in-ring portion. This sees Punishment Martinez defeat Tigre Uno in 831 by pinfall. Nice little matchup here. Gets 59. Martinez with a 55. Tigre Uno with a 46. Tigre Uno is one of those that I want to do something with, but I don't know what to do with. It's kind of the same. He's kind of in the same boat as Eric Young right now for me. He's someone who I know can put on pretty good stuff. I mean, Tigre Uno is better in ring right now than Eric Young is. But he's someone who I know could do pretty good stuff. I have nothing for him at this point, unfortunately. So he's just being used as a jobber for people at this point, basically. But, pretty good matchup here. As Punishment Martinez, who is new to TNA, he had that big brawl with Abyss last week that he really held his own in. Now this week he goes out and he defeats Tigreano cleanly by pinfall, so we'll have to see. Maybe he's got a bit of a history, or a bit of a future here in TNA. Then after that, we get Daredevil Maria backstage in their office, and they have an announcement. Maria says that coming up in 2 months' time is Slammiversary, and of course, Slammiversary is the second biggest show of the year here in TNA, with obviously Bound for Glory being the biggest show. And she says that Bound for Glory obviously has the Bound for Glory series to kind of build up hype for title matches at Bound for Glory, of course, But Slammiversary doesn't really have anything. So this year, they're implementing something. And it's going to be happening this Sunday. Daredevil says that there is going to be a men's and women's separate 10-person escape matches at Lockdown. 10 people will be in the cage, and the person who escapes the cage first is the one who gets the win and gets a title shot of their choosing at Slammiversary. So they will, whoever wins, and they're being kind of vague here by saying a title shot of their choosing. So technically we could see a female challenge for the X Division Championship, for example, because the X Division Championship in our era of TNA doesn't technically have any gender limits on it. But the World and the Knockouts titles are obviously specific for men and women. But yeah, there's that. So potentially could see some interesting stuff there. But yeah, so 10 men entered and 10 women entered into separate matches. We're not revealing who's in the matches ahead of time. It's going to be one of those things that obviously the participants are going to know, but they're not going to, the fans are not going to know until the match gets ready to start. I thought about only doing 6 or 8, but I was like, no, it makes sense to do 10. It really makes sense, especially when I go to explain, when I go to do the pay-per-view, when I go to explain who all's in it and why they're in it kind of thing. It's going to make sense that way. But so yeah, there you go. 2 more matches announced for Lockdown, as we are getting 2 escape matches, which, in theory are going to be a little cluster effy. But they're also going to be kind of a little geared to, I don't want to say cool down the crowd, but they're, we got so many, whether it's all title matches or big rivalry matches on the show, we need a couple matches where it's here's, something that's going to be, kind of a match that's happening here. But there's going to be for title opportunities, so kind of a bigger deal there, but still. So I got 52 rating for this here. We go back to the ring. Crap. We get a 43 rated matchup that sees the narrative of EC3, Brian Cage, and Caleb Conley defeat Juice Robinson and the Bravado Brothers in 817. When EC3 pinned Harlem Bravado with a 1%er. EC3 was head and shoulders above everyone. And Caleb Conley sustained a rib contusion. So that's good to see. Great. So much for the narrative having any sort of momentum gaining at this point. Yeah, in-ring performances are what I expected at this point. Cage is still super green, so he's not going to be doing too well in the ring. Everybody else kind of expected, kind of where they were, where I expected them to be. But the narrative get the victory here. Their first win as a trio, and we'll have to see what ends up happening with that heading forward. We're going to also have to see how long Caleb Conley's out, because that's highlighted, that's red highlighted, so that means that he's going to be out for a while. It's not going to be a can only do angles kind of situation. Thank you, Jerry Lynn. Then we have a Motor City Machine Guns and Beautiful People promo happening, where Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin are talking about, it's nothing. I'm not going to go super in depth with it because it's nothing specific. It's more your basic stuff that they've been saying for a while now. about how they're great, about how the Guns are going to win the tag titles this Sunday, about how Velvet Sky is going to retain her Knockouts title this Sunday, and about how Angelina Love is going to win the 10 Knockouts escape match, even though they don't know if she's even in it or not. There's going to be a whole story. There might be a whole story behind that. I'll explain it as we get to the pay-per-view. But hey, get their promo interrupted by the tag team champions, the Briscoes, and Madison Rayne, the challenger of Velvet Sky, because tonight, the Briscoes and Madison Rayne are teaming up to take on the Guns and Velvet Sky in a preview for Lockdown. Briscoes and Madison Rayne show up to just brawl with them, kind of chase them off fighting-wise and all that, and they go kind of running after him, kind of thing. So 60 rating here, as it gets both matches a little bit more hype before the 6-person intergender match tonight, and then of course the separate matches this Sunday. Then we get, wow, we actually get I can't say wow because these two are pretty good, but I just wasn't expecting it to be as good as this. As in a decent matchup, Trent defeats Petey Williams in 12-18 by pinfall with the running single leg high knee strike, or the Busaku knee for those who don't know what that is. 65 rating. 58 from Trent, 53 from Petey Williams. Pretty good stuff there. Pretty good stuff. You'll see that a lot of the matches happening tonight are featuring people who probably aren't going to be on the Lockdown card. I say probably because you never know if some of these people might show up in the escape matches. But they're not really, like a lot of our biggest matches happening this Sunday, people aren't really in matches for here tonight. Although, our main event, as it gets revealed by the commentators during this matchup, is Kurt Angle taking on Austin Aries. Now, why is this happening? Well, because last week Kurt Angle beat Magnus thanks to Austin Aries' help, and so apparently Magnus went to Daredevil backstage, and in a rare exception, Daredevil actually granted Magnus what he was requesting, which was that Austin Aries have to fight Kurt Angle this time. That's kind of a, well, he beat me, but how about you go up against him kind of thing. So we'll have to see how that goes out in the main event tonight. But yeah, there's that. 65 rating for this match. Pretty good stuff. I like that. Then we get an Angle with Future Shock. Gets a 53 rating. Kyle O'Reilly was very underwhelming. Dude, this mod. I'm not saying that Kyle O'Reilly should be like the greatest talker ever, but this mod is very disrespectful of Kyle O'Reilly. This mod has Bobby Fish sitting in like the 50s for his entertainment skills, and has Kyle O'Reilly sitting in like the mid to upper 30s. Like, come on. At least give Kyle O'Reilly some charisma. We have seen it, especially over the last like 10 years. We have seen Kyle O'Reilly having some charisma. Anyway. Adam Cole, the, Red Dragon, Roderick Strong, all standing there with SoCal Val backstage talking. They're all talking about, possibly being in this escape match at Lockdown. And they're talking about the issues with bad influence recently and all that. And, they're kind of talking about how maybe bad influence might be in that escape match. And Roderick's like, well, I mean, you guys might be in that escape match, but I'm not in it. Cole's like, what do you mean? And Roddy's like, well, I'm not in this escape match because I'm the 5th member of Team TNA. The crowd pops, even though they're watching this as a backstage segment from backstage or whatever. And the rest of Future Shock, including SoCal Val, is just like, wait, what? You're what? Like, they didn't know that he was in there. So, surprise! Team TNA member Roderick Strong is the 5th member. Yeah. So, here's the thing. I could have put a few other people in that role, but wanted to go with Roddy. One, because I'm possibly going to start kind of pushing him into the main event scene. He's got the performances for it at this point. And two, it makes sense because outside of TNA, he has history with Davey Richards. He has history with Eddie Edwards. He has history with Samoa Joe and AJ Styles. Like, he has the history with everybody, so it makes sense. So there you go. Roderick Strong is the 5th member of Team TNA, and Future Shock weren't even aware of it. Strong goes to leave, and Roddy goes and walks off, saying, "Hey, I gotta go talk with the rest of the team. We gotta prep and get ready." And everybody's just kind of like watching him leave, and they're like, "What the?" And it kind of cuts it off. So it's like they were kind of blindsided by the fact that Strong is just, not that he's focusing on himself, but that he didn't even bother wanting to tell Future Shock that he was in that matchup. So it's like, teasing the idea that maybe Roddy's looking out for himself over the group? Question mark. Anyway, then we get a 76 rated segment. I knew this was going to do well, as Jay Lethal and Colt Cabana are being talked to by the commentators, like in a split interview kind of setting. Like, they're both in separate areas. Lethal's at home, and Cabana's backstage in the arena in some interview, like some room that was set up for an interview thing. And they're doing the whole like satellite interview thing where they're talking about, talking to these two men ahead of the X Division title matchup this Sunday. Lethal says that he's not thrilled about the fact that he has to deal with Colt Cabana once again, but this time when he defeats Colt Cabana will have to respect the fact, will have to deal with the fact that Jay Lethal is going to be the X Division champion, and Colt Cabana will have to go back to the back of the line. There will be no more getting opportunities handed to him, all this kind of stuff. And Colt kind of interrupts and says, "Hand it to me. I won a 4-way matchup last week. What are you talking about hand it to me? If anything, you've been handed all this cushion for yourself over the last 120 some days as the champion. You've had, 4 title defenses over the last 120 some days? If I was the champion, I'd be defending that championship just about every single week. But no, you sit back and you think that you're some kind of great champion that everybody should just bow down to. But this Sunday, you're going to quickly find out that you are not a good representative of the X Division, and that Colt Cabana is going to be." And so they kind of, go back and forth a little bit, previewing ahead of this Sunday. So there you go, 76. We'll have to see who ends up walking out with the X Division Championship at Lockdown. We get a 61 rated matchup that sees Rhino defeat Uhaa Nation in 708 by pinfall to Gore. Pretty good stuff there. I'm changing Rhino's gimmick because he had a badass gimmick that was awful rating, and so it's been hurting his performances recently, which I realized. So we're changing it to Man Beast. They got inadequate. That's fine. This match was kind of had a little bit of a story behind it, in the sense that Rhino apparently found Uhaa Nation backstage and said that he, obviously Rhino being pissed over the last month or so about the fact that he's been kind of seen as the low hanging fruit, or not the low hanging fruit, kind of the low man on the totem pole when it comes to the House of Truth, because of his recent losses and Jay Lethal being pissed off about it. And so he wanted to take his aggressions out on somebody tonight, and he ended up running into Uhaa Nation. Match ended up being made, and Rhino gets himself back in the win record with a victory here over a newcomer to TNA. We'll have to see what this means for Rhino heading forward, but, they have pretty good chemistry, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, not too bad there for that. Then we get Bobby Roode with a 77 rated promo. Kind of very similar to what he's been saying recently. We've heard from Bobby Roode a lot. We haven't heard from James Storm a lot. But Bobby Roode basically just says that he's had this on again, off again connection with James Storm for too long now. This time he's done with it. He's done carrying James Storm. He thought he carried James Storm too much before, but he got convinced somehow to get back together with him. And he's done with it. He's tired of it. It's led to absolutely nothing for him, when he deserves to be getting more opportunities. He deserves to be getting world title opportunities, and not, and getting those opportunities where he wouldn't be squandering them like Storm did. And so he's going to put Storm down once and for all at Lockdown, and then he is going to turn his attention to the TNA World Heavyweight Championship again. Then after that, we get our mixed 6-man tag, or 6-person tag match, that is, sorry. And this bout gets 68 rating, as in 10:53, the match goes to a draw with a double countout. You didn't think I was actually going to have a decisive victor in this match, did you? Don't want to give, you know, we got to tease the idea of what's going to happen between these six at Lockdown. Um, but yeah, pretty good in-ring performances, honestly. Madison Rayne actually had the worst in-ring performance of them all, although Velvet Sky was only 1 point better than her. But yeah, there you go. So Madison Rayne, Briscoes, Velvet Sky, and Motor City Machine Guns all going to a draw. Double count out. It's one of those things that they keep rolling on the outside, fighting with each other all over the place, and the referee eventually just calls off the whole thing. Crowd boos, but the commentators kind of play it up as, well, they got a double count out tonight and all that stuff, but they can't get a double count. There can't be any count outs happening this Sunday at Lockdown because they're going to be inside the cage, and they only, if you end up outside of the cage, that means you've won the matchup, that blah, 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 that kind of thing, where there's teasing the fact that you can't get a count outs in a cage match. So 68 rating here for that. Pretty good stuff there. Then we have a BDC promo that did worse than I expected it to, honestly. Huh. I don't know what happened there. But D'Angelo Dinero is the one talking in this mainly, because in the background you see MVP, Benjamin, Kingston, and Homicide all kind of prepping and training, kind of doing different, you see Sean Benjamin kind of doing some amateur wrestling stuff in the background. You see Kingston and Homicide just kind of using weapons on various things. You see MVP kind of coaching them or whatever. And D'Angelo Gennaro's just kind of standing there like, you guys, congratulations. The boys are apparently together or some BS, whatever. You guys know each other really well, blah, 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 whatever. Who cares? Who cares? Because in a very short amount of time, the BDC have risen to the top of TNA. And if you think that we're going to let some ragtag group who have known each other forever, but who haven't teamed up in forever or whatever, we don't care. We don't care because we have proven that we are a crew, that we are a group that cannot be stopped by you losers. Because time and time again, that's what you've done. You've lost to us time and time again. Sure, you may have gotten a victory here and there, but you have lost to us time and time again. Shelton Benjamin is still the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. It's just a matter of time before Kingston and Homicide are the tag team champions. And as for myself, I could get that X Division Championship with the snap of my fingers. We will stay on top of TNA, and it doesn't matter who you throw at us, even that dorky nobody Roderick Strong. It doesn't matter who you send our way, because we will continue to stand on top of the mountain here in TNA. 68 rating. Kind of hope for better, but that's what it is. Then before our main event, we have a 67 rated segment that sees James Storm with a very... this is like one of those like maybe 2.5 minute promos at best. Because it's just him kind of staring at a beer bottle. Just takes a swig of it, just kind of stares down at it. Doesn't really say much of anything right away. Just 30 seconds to a minute of just him kind of looking at this beer bottle. Where he looks up at the camera and he says, I considered you a friend. I considered you a brother, Bobby. And that's something I don't do with a lot of people. But you, for the last time, crossed the line with me. And at Lockdown, I'm not just going to beat you. I'm going to beat you senseless. I'm going to beat you mercifully. I'm going to make you wish. Takes a look at his beer again. Takes another swig over before putting it back down. I'm going to make you wish that a victory is the only thing that I wanted. And then there he gets up and walks off. So he is focused, he is determined, and he is coming for Bobby Roode at Lockdown. And then our main event gets a 79 rating. Why was there a lack of psychology in this matchup? Why? just so we're clear, okay? Just so we're clear, this is a 14-minute televised main event. Austin Aries, I'm pretty sure, has like 70, like low 70s psychology. Kurt Angle has like 84. And somehow there was a lack of psychology in this matchup with Austin Aries and Kurt Angle. I I I got nothing. I got nothing. I don't know. I got nothing. I mean, obviously the storyline, the lack of heat for the storyline didn't help with the segment rating either, but still. I got nothing. I don't know. Anyway, Kurt Angle defeats Austin Aries in 14:02 by pinfall with an angle slam, thanks to a distraction by Mickie James and an actual run-in by Magnus. I forgot to... Damn it. I just now noticed the finish button being lit up, and I remembered I forgot to put the segment on there. There was supposed to be a 1-minute segment that happened after this matchup that just was basically Magnus saying, "I accept," before walking off, leaving Aries laid out on the canvas. So it was supposed to be making it official that it was going to be Magnus and Austin Aries at Lockdown. So, but yeah, 79 rating for the main event. Show itself gets an 83. I'll take it. Very strong stuff heading into this Sunday and Lockdown. Good to see for sure. We will take a quick look at a few things before we dive into, or before we end this episode, that is. Take a quick look at everyone else around us. Take a quick look at Explosion. All that kind of stuff. I got hiccups as well. First off, we will look and see. Okay. Well, so Caleb Conley out for 25 days. He's working through it though, so it's not like an out injury. He's just working through it. And as you see, the All Night Express and Shaul Guerrero still with those months, and in Kenny King's situation, year plus long injuries that they're working through. Thankfully, they're not like too bothered by it, as you'll see when I go to show you Explosion here in a second. But on the night, we also went up against a New Japan show, and New Japan also had an 83, but they had 356,000 viewers. We still with almost 1.6 million. Naito defeated Nakamura, Yuji Nagata, and Minoru Suzuki to retain the heavyweight title. My God. Okada defeated Tiger Dragon. He defeated Ibushi to retain the junior title. He defeated Ishii to retain the Intercontinental title. Tiger Mask 4 is the never openweight champion right now. So yeah, there's all that. You'll notice that even though we went up against New Japan, we were still able to use Alex Shelley. That's because I went and took him completely from New Japan. I got tired of having Alex Shelley bounce back and forth between New Japan and us, so I locked him up in a Rin deal. But Forever Hooligan, still worth the show. Because I like Kozlov and Romero. They're going to be working TNA dates here and there, but I don't plan on locking them up to specific deals anytime soon. They'd have to get a lot better in our company first before I'd even consider that. So yeah, there's that. NXT had a 58. Had Tyler Breeze and Nick Dinsmore defeat Jay Bronson and Oliver Gray in a cage match. Damn, NXT trying to do a cage match days before our cage only pay-per-view. What the heck? That's something. Ring of Honor had a 56. Bully Ray and Colin Delaney defeated Michael Elgin and Scott Steiner. What the hell is that match? Good Lord, that just reads like a hell of just a crazy thing. Also, Seven Thorn is working in ROH now. That's awesome. That is awesome. Also, Josh Barnett is there as the TV champion right now. That's interesting. Explosion happened, and as you see, a lot of stuff happened. So we're kind of sticking with the typical formula for Explosion nowadays, where we're doing promos from the competitors before we do a match. So Chuck Taylor defeated Mike Bennett. Angelina Love defeated a local talent. Mickey James defeated Heidi Lovelace. And then afterwards had ODB confront her, because we're still doing that ODB Mickey James storyline. We just haven't really had a lot of Impact time to promote it. So decided to do an angle and Explosion for it. Charles Betts kept his undefeated record going by defeating Trevor Murdoch. Carrie Hoja beat Daphne, and then the main event saw the All Night Express defeat the Von Erichs. Like I said, All Night Express, slightly penalized for their injuries, but still not badly penalized, so we're still kind of using them here and there. But there you go. TNA is in the books, and we are now just a couple days away from lockdown. Or, of course, we have the 2 separate escape matches. Of course, this is in no particular order. We have the 2 separate escape matches happening. We have the Motor City Machine Guns versus the Briscoes for the TNA World Tag Team titles. We have Magnus versus Austin Aries. We have Madison Rayne versus Velvet Sky for the TNA Knockouts Championship. We have a match that I believe is probably going to officially be on the pre-show. I haven't decided for sure if it's going to be on the pre-show yet or not, because I do probably need at least one of these matches to be on the pre-show. Where Kana and Cheerleader Melissa will be challenging Io and Mio Shirai for the Knockouts Tag Team titles. Colt Cabana and Jay Lethal for the X Division Championship. Bobby Roode versus James Storm. And then, of course, Lethal Lockdown, the BDC taking on AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, The Wolves, and Roderick Strong. So a lot of crazy stuff going to be happening at Lockdown. There might be one other match thrown on the pre-show at Lockdown too. I haven't decided yet, but probably not, because we already have so many people being booked for the show already, thanks to the escape matches, but we'll see. Nevertheless, thank you all for watching. Definitely appreciate it, and keep an eye out for the next video in the series, which will be Lockdown 2015. But until then, we will catch you in a future video.